Hey everybody, good morning. It's about 7:30 a.m. It's a crisp 58 degrees or 57 degrees out here. But I wanted to come on here, and I've talked about AI before and everything, and how sometimes depending on what service you utilize, it will give you essentially what you're asking for. And as I've mentioned, Kling seems to be the one that gives you what you're asking for, probably more so than anything. I haven't tested this theory too much on Luma, and Luma does kind of give you what you ask for, but not entirely. It's like it comes close. But you can kind of tell that they're improving. One of the things they've added on is, the camera motion. Like you can decide, okay, like what mode you want the camera, like, to be up, down, and all that. But, they do kind of give you what you ask for if you're Pacific and everything. And I'm going to test out this theory with them eventually and see what happens. I don't know if it'll work. But I wanted to show you this example here from Kling. Now, this is example here from Kling to kind of show you what I mean by when I say they give you what you ask for. As you could see with Kling here, this is actually the ending scene to Trouble TRO's Agent Pink 2, Bedlam's Revenge. This part is when basically his character Betty, and Mr. Internet Man's character Veronica DeMonica decided to kind of get very intimate in a very gooey slime girl-like fashion. I mean, they shapeshifted into all kinds of things and stuff, but the end result was them becoming goo and just melted puddles of goo on the bed. And then Emily comes in and joins them, and Emily gets invited in by DeMonica opening up a portal and, bring her in. And then, it takes her a second to realize, oh, wait a minute, could I be where Betty and her friend is, or her partner for the mission is? And, she finds out almost immediately, oh, I am. Like she kind of clues herself in. Like I said, it takes her a bit to realize, hey, I am here with them. And everything, because she notices, them as gooey puddles on the bed. And then, again, that sparks, her inquisitiveness of, could I be in the place where Betty and her, partner for her mission was? And like I said, it clues her in when she starts feeling a little bit of a tendril, a hybrid fused tendril of red and black, going up her body a little bit. And then she's like, I see you guys are here, and you decided to start the party without me. But guess what? I know how to party too. And then all of a sudden you start seeing her turn into a turquoise green goo. And what Kling does here, and again, Luma does something similar. I think you just got to give it specifics. But what Kling does here is it animates the scene to where it shows you kind of the character, like Emily, kind of looking down as she's melting at what she's becoming, and then it kind of transitions. I wouldn't say seamlessly, but almost seamlessly, to the point that she ends up becoming a gooey tendril herself and mixing in with Betty and Veronica, to the point that they become basically a mishmash, semi-fusion mixture, if you will, of turquoise green, red, and black. But then here's where Kling kind of starts giving you what you ask for. Again, I'm not totally sure if Luma does the same thing. I'm sure they do, because I've tested it. I've tested it in the past. So I'm like, okay, can you, recently, speaking of Mr. Internet Man, I did a image. I actually merged two different images. One image is from his Melting Mayhem, where Veronica, who's now basically not needing the Nightshade lipstick to utilize the powers because it's integrated into her DNA. Veronica decides to melt down, and the image I use is her as a puddle, and everything before she reforms into DeMonica. So I used that, and then I used another image he created called Goo Monica, which is basically DeMonica Veronica as a slime girl alter ego. I merged them together to where she's the Goo Monica is melting into the puddle that Veronica became. And then I said, okay, have a mouth form on there. And it does and I will give credit, it does give you what you want. I even did that with the little bath scene from Emily Sanders' series by Laboratory. And basically, I said, on Luma, have a mouth appear, because my thought is, okay, if she's part of my thought is, okay, if Emily is now the liquid for the bath for anyone, including her husband, to soak in, then why not have a little fun by having her mouth, kind of form on top and saying, welcome to the bath, or something like that. I'm Emily the goo bath, welcome and all that. Why not do that, and everything, or have a kind of express herself in a very adult manner, if you know what I mean, of the kind, and because it feels good to be liquid, so it does give you what you ask for at times. That being Luma, it has done that, and again, the same with Kling. But the thing is with Kling is they are more accurate. They actually move forward in giving you what you ask for. The other thing about them too is they have two modes, standard and professional. Professional, of course, the one that utilizes more credits than standard. But when you go to professional, at most times it will give you, sometimes if you're Pacific, what you're asking for. But yeah, this is just, like I said, this is just an example of, what would happen if, Trouble TRO wanted to go this length, this far with the character and everything. If he wanted to go this far with the characters and the scene by using Kling, because basically it would allow him to really get that that taste of what it would be like to create a movie. Because my mindset when I first read the story is the mixing together. What would happen if they just decided to fuse together into one? You kind of get that example of what would happen. And then they're just flowing off the bed and down the floor and all that, having fun. Just really enjoying being mixed together. But to me, I think, honestly, if you really want something, both Luma and Kling are good. But as I said before, Kling seems to have that slight edge to where it will kind of give you more, just a bit more, just an itty bitty more than Luma will. It will give you, again, what you're asking for, just an itty bitty more than Luma. Another example here as well is this is the ending scene of the most recent chapter, chapter 18, if you will. I think this is the final part, where Emily is having more fun with these powers that her and Betty have, mostly at the encouragement of whatever voice of these powers, this alien substance or whatever it is they got contaminated with or came in contact with, is encouraging her to do. So she's having more fun. And she basically decided to become a piece of silk, because she has tried every other material and substance, that she can think of, because her imagination is, I guess, unlimited, or it's limited by her imagination. So she decides she's going to be a piece of silk clothing. And she lays, as a result, as she turns into the silk, she lays on the stool in this dressing room, content to just stay there for the rest of the day. Like she, to her it feels so good and everything that she can just spend the just lounge around like that on the stool all day and just let herself drift off. And what she means by drift off, just embrace being the silk, being the inanimate object. Now, in the original ending, of course, as I've talked about in my updated video, which I'll put a link at the end here, she is found by somebody who walks in because they thought they heard somebody, which of course they did, but then they don't see anybody except for the piece of silk, which is Emily. But thanks to the likes of Kling, probably more so than Luma, and this is where it kind of gets interesting, because I tried some similar with Luma in the past, and all I'm getting is just like the waving of the silk that Emily became while it's still on the stool, and the camera's just zooming out. Here, not only do I get what I ask, but they accentuate it even more. Because, again, it's all limited to your imagination as to what you want to have happen. And my thought is, well, Emily, she's just lounging there, planning to just drift off and embrace being the silk, for a while, for most of the day. until she hears somebody. And my thought process is, well, if she's hearing somebody, she would need to, find a way to get out of there. And what's the best way that she likes to do, probably more than Betty, what is the best way to try to escape? Well, it's melt, melts into goo. So I kind of suggested that, and yeah, it gave me what I asked for, but even took it a step further. Now, it did take a couple of tries, and again, more emphasizing on what you want to have happen. But eventually it did give me, as you can see, what I asked for, but even took it a step further by having her kind of overflow on the stool and basically drip off of it as well. Like, she's melting down, trying to, find a way to escape, but also figures, I'll have some fun while I do that and everything. And that's what you're seeing here. Now, again, the original story is she's found by somebody, who, it's like, oh, well, what do we have here? Not realizing that the silk she's finding is actually somebody, shapeshifted into it. But again, when you use something like Kling, you kind of, or Luma, depending on, which is, your more preference and which you feel more comfortable with, or even Runaway, when you use them and everything, you get basically, kind of what you're asking for, or kind of, or close to it. I look at the version that Luma gave me where it's like the camera's just zooming out and it's just, Emily as the silk just, lying on the stool and waving a little bit. Like I can see what they're talking about. I can see what they're doing. Like, just zoom out. Like that's how she wants to stay and everything, all that. And then they could just transition to maybe later in the day where, she gets ready to reform, but then maybe somebody starts coming in. She has to stay that way for a bit. But I kind of get what they're saying, or kind of get what they're doing. But here, again, Kling, by the itsy bitsiness, kind of proves exactly, why it has a bit of a slight advantage over the likes of Luma and Runaway, because it kind of gives you more of what you're asking for, and accentuates it. Now this part here was actually done through not the standard mode, which was the one previously done in, because the one previously with Emily, Betty, and Veronica being the goo and everything, that was done in standard mode. This is done in professional mode. Now, the difference between standard and professional when it comes to Kling, and this is kind of where maybe Kling will have to, work on stuff and be like, yeah, maybe we need to lessen, what we provide and everything. Because the issue I think myself and anybody would have here is professional takes. Because standard only costs you 10 credits. Standard at 5 seconds costs you 10 credits at, okay, let me repeat that. It's early. I do apologize. But anyway, like I was saying, standard mode on Kling only costs you 10 credits at 5 seconds, and it costs you 10 credits, or not 10 credits, but 20 credits at 10 seconds. A lot of numbers to kind of munch there, but yeah. But standard mode, which again, the one with, before this that I showed you, has it done basically in, in 5 seconds at, 10 credits. It only costs you 10 credits, or 20 credits if you want to add an additional 5 seconds to make it 10 seconds in standard mode. But professional mode, this is what I'm trying to get at. Professional mode is a little higher, because at 5 seconds in professional mode, you have to spend an additional 25 credits to the 10 you would spend in standard at 5 seconds. And that means basically you'd be spending 35, and then you add on another 35 if you want 10 seconds and professional mode combined together, and that's 70. And it's like, yeah, that's great and everything, but, to me, that's the one thing they need to work on. But the end result is you get what you're asking for. And professional mode on Kling or any other AI service, image to video, or text to video, or text to image, whatever. Professional does seem like it will give you more of what you're asking for than standard. It's like standard will give you what you're asking for, as proven with the last one I showed you, if not more, but professional will give you that just as well, if not kind of more closely to what you're looking for. But yeah, again, going back to why I was talking about as to why Kling, outside of that, has that itty bitty slightly advantage over the likes of Luma and Runaway and a few other sites and services, is because they do give you what you're asking for, even if you don't emphasize it too much, and you just text it in, they will give you what you're asking for. And yes, adding a little bit of emphasization between parentheses to kind of to make it clear of what you're looking for, that does help out. Don't get me wrong. That does help out and everything. Don't get me wrong and all that. But long story short, like I said, it's still, even without the emphasizing, does, kind of give you what you're looking for more so than the other sites. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, this is just another example. Again, this is another one of Trouble TO's stories that he's kind of put on hiatus for the time being because he's ended the chapter, because he's worked on this for quite some time. And again, it gives you an idea of, okay, what would you want to see happen? What would you like to see happen, outside of the original ending? Like, what would you do if you're Emily, you're enjoying your status as an inanimate piece of cloth, if you will, silk, if you will, an inanimate piece of material? What would you do if suddenly you heard somebody, coming? How would you deal with that? And again, to me, the best way she would know how to do is just become goo and melt down and then maybe blend with the floor or something like that. Or in this case, kind of, mix around the entire, or kind of not mix around, but melt around and goo around the entire room while trying to figure out a way to, escape and everything. I'm hearing a bit of a helicopter outside, I think. Yeah, it's an Apache helicopter. That's what I'm hearing. An Apache helicopter, if you're hearing anything. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But anyway, again, that's what Kling allows you to do. It allows you to actually extend and see like how, what would be the end result elsewhere if you wanted to alter it a little bit, in my opinion. But yeah, that's kind of, again, this is another example of what I'm talking about. It really is. And again, there are other sites like Luma and Runaway outside of it, but again, itsy bitsy wise, Kling does have that advantage because it seems to give you more of what you're asking for. So yeah, with that, those are just examples of what Kling can do with having a advantage over Luma and Runaway. I mean, like I said, Luma will give you kind of what you're asking for, but I think they still have to work on a few kinks here because I get, as I said before, what Luma's real intention might be, and that is to help those that really want to take it to that next level and become movie makers, artists of that kind, to where, those stories can be done in a way that feels like they could fit in a movie or fit as an animated series, something like that. And I get that. And again, like I said, they do kind of give you what you ask for. They do. Because as I alluded to, I used two images that Mr. Internet Man did. One where Veronica, now infused with the Nightshade shape-shifting powers and not having to use the lipstick, where she, melts down into a puddle, and then I have the picture of her as a puddle, and then I have another picture of, Veronica Demonica in an alter ego called Goo Monica, where she's just, kind of herself, but, the bottom part of her, the feet, is all goo and everything, a puddle of goo. And I basically took that picture, put it first, as the first image, and then the last image being the puddle, from the Melting Mayhem little story, a little comic strip, and basically combine them together, and it works. It actually works out, especially when you tell Luma what you want. But then I said, okay, have a mouth form on there, have a mouth form on there. And it kind of is giving that impression that it's having a mouth form and everything. And like I said, basically it's, and that's our gardener that just came as well. But anyway, like I said, it's it's one of those situations. Like I said, it's one of those situations to where they will give you what you ask for, kind of, if you're specific in a certain way that I guess they can understand. But at the end, at the end of the day, it's just I think Kling has a tiny, tiny, weeny advantage over Luma and Runaway. So, but yeah, I just wanted to come on here, talk about these, kind of show you why Kling has a advantage, over Luma and Runaway. Just wanted to give you that idea. And until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later. But let me know what your thoughts are. And I got to go take care of something right now with the gardener. And I am out. But yeah, check them out if you like. Also, check out my Teespring store, merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Link will be in the description, at the bottom of the description. Also, ladies and gentlemen, check out the links to where you can find where you can find places where you can find my content elsewhere. From check it out from like rumble.com at bwroses, divanart.com at bvw1979. Also check me out at odyssey.com at bwroses, VENMO at bwroses. Also, at your favorite podcast affiliates, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify for podcasters, Spotify, Pandora, you name it, you can find me there. And also there's Venmo and Cash App if you want to help donate to help me out in the long run, build a channel, help me out financially in the future. Also, there's super thanks that will be available after the premiere of this video. And as you will note in the description, there are super chats available during the live premiere of said video. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Ring the bell for notifications for content, coming in the future. Subscribe to the channel, like it. Like the video, I should say. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications, like I was saying. And until next time, talk to y'all later.